Hey guys, welcome back to Beaneater Buzz. Jordan Hunt here, back here again with Colleen McGuire.
Hey
It's
everyone.
been long off season.
Yes, it
Uh,
has.
we planned on doing a few pods this off season. It didn't work out. I've got a lot going on with family stuff and stuff like that, so I just kind of checked out for a while. But anyways, how's your winter been?
Long without baseball,
Yeah,
just ready for
yeah,
baseball to be back.
me
But no,
too.
it's been good. Haven't had really too bad, weather and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's been
it
good.
feels like the winter. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my camera. It feels like the winter takes forever, and then it feels like
Mhm.
the season just like over in no time.
Yeah.
So, but that's because that's what we live for, right?
Yeah.
That's baseball. So
When your life is baseball.
yeah, when your life is
The
baseball,
non-baseball
there's
days are very
oh my
slow and the
god, dude. I
baseball
mean,
days go
we
fast.
talk about it all season, right? Off days suck.
Hmm.
Like we hate off days, even though like we understand the players need them.
Yeah.
It's like
But we
still
don't.
I'm
But the
dying
viewers
for
and
baseball.
fans,
Yeah, I can go without
well,
any
they know
off
we
days.
want baseball every day.
You know what? Eliminate off days and let's play 182 games a year, and I'll be very happy. So today, guys, we're gonna do a recap of the Braves off season. Kind of go over some of the moves that Alex Anthopoulos made. Um, it was a different off season from what I think we all expected. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think we knew that there were two positions, left field and shortstop, that those were the question marks. Those were the what are we going to do? What are the moves we're going to make?
Right.
And sort of options started falling off the table and things. And obviously, we'll get into Dansby and things like that. But we kind of realized, oh, okay, I guess we're going with Grissom. I guess Grissom is the one. And,
Yeah.
I guess
And I was very
Rosario.
anti the idea of Grissom and Arcia early on.
I was
Um,
too.
but then I saw I had never seen Grissom play a lot of shortstop, and I ended up getting to see some footage of him playing shortstop in the minors. And just the few clips I saw really gave me more confidence in him that I think he can be. I mean, he's not going to be Dansby Swanson right away, um, but I think he can be an average shortstop, maybe slightly below average, which is okay, whatever. Um, but the bat is definitely there. So
Hmm.
so I'm happy. I'm happy that in a way, like we're restarting, like a new. It's kind of like the passing of the guard. You know what I'm saying? Like at least he got to come up and play with Dansby a little bit.
Hmm.
So maybe he learned some things from Dansby. He's got Ron Washington. Uh, there's you can't
Who's
say enough
apparently
about
been saying really good things about him.
right.
Which and
Yeah,
Wash doesn't seem the type to just say it to say it. I mean,
no,
you know,
and that's what
he doesn't
Alex
mince
said.
words.
He said he doesn't.
Yeah.
He isn't the type of guy who just says things like if he thinks you suck, he'll tell you. So, uh, so yeah, I don't know. That's
Yeah, I'm kind of
certainly
excited to see what he
interesting.
can do.
I am too.
I agree
I
with
am
you where I
too.
kind of start out where I'm like, no, I don't want Grissom. I want to like get one of those big shortstops. And then obviously I realized, oh yeah, we're not going to get one of those big shortstops who's available. And then I
Yeah,
kind of shifted where I was like, look at Jeremy Pena on the Astros. They let Correa go and they said, let's give this rookie a chance. So that's why, and I'm not saying Grissom's going to be Jeremy Pena, but I mean, just the
no,
idea of like everyone started somewhere,
he's
let's see what he can do.
capable.
Yeah,
I would say that Grissom is capable of being better than Jeremy Pena. Um,
probably. Why
because
not?
offensively, there's more upside for sure. Pena, he hits some homers, but like he had a sub 300 on base percentage last year.
I think that it's the recency bias of his postseason was so good, but I
Yeah,
think overall his regular season, he wasn't even a finalist for Rookie of the Year. So I don't think,
no, he
he had a
wasn't.
spectacular regular season.
He did,
He's a good
but
player, of course, and
he's
only get better.
spectacular
But
defensively though.
yeah,
So it's kind of the opposite
mhm,
of the deal that the Astros have. Like the opposite, but also kind of the same because like they went from a guy who was an offensive juggernaut
mhm.
to a guy who was a defensive player, like glove first guy.
Mm-hmm.
He can pop some homers. Now we're going from a guy who was a defensive wizard to a guy who is more of a bat first guy. And you can still make up that production there, but it's going to be a little bit different than Jeremy Pena, I think.
Yeah.
So, first thing I want to dive into is kind of some of the smaller deals that Alex started the offseason off with.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read off like 4 or 5 little deals that we made, and then we can kind of dive into those like kind of one by one and maybe talk about what we thought of each one or whatever. First move of the offseason, really, that anybody made. It was the first trade for sure. I don't know if they're. I know Edwin Diaz was technically the first free agency signing, even though it was more like an extension than the free agent signing. But I don't know if that came before this deal or not. I think it came a little bit after. But on November the 6th, Braves picked up Sam Hilliard from the Rockies for right-handed pitcher Dylan Spain.
Who I had never even heard of. The guy we sent. No, I've heard of Sam Hilliard.
That's what I was going to say. I've never heard of Dylan Spain, but
some.
There's
prospect
just a name
nobody's heard of.
Just a name on the paper that even the Rockies are going to forget about. So I mean, let's be honest. I like Sam Hilliard. I think he's got a lot of potential. His swing is very similar to that of Matt Olson. Have you had a chance to look at any video of him?
I've seen a couple of clips.
Yeah,
that I believe it was Trent posted some. Stuff about the homers he said and things like that.
Got a very Matt Olson looking swing. He's when he connects, which is kind of the problem. There's a lot of power. Yeah, and I mean Kevin Seitzer's good. He's an elite defensive outfielder. So.
It's one of those things like with Robbie Grossman where they probably were looking at video and they were like, we can unlock that, we can fix. They probably saw some things, and that's
clearly
that's
they
the
found
move
something
that he makes. He
with
finds
Robbie Grossman.
The guys nobody else is looking at.
Yeah, and you're right. Clearly they found something with Robbie Grossman,
right?
Because he was much better after coming over from Detroit. Than he was prior to the. To the deadline. Now, he did say that he found a few things in his swing before he came over from Detroit. So, I mean, that could have definitely had something to do with it, too. Also, playing for a winner, there's something to say for that.
The motivation has to be there.
Going from a ballpark like Detroit, too. I mean, Comerica is like whatever the opposite of Coors Field is, that's what Comerica is. It's like giant. I mean, I remember what's his name, Castellanos. I remember him complaining about that ballpark stealing his home runs, and he did have like 52 homers or 52 doubles in 2019.
Yeah, how many of those would have been homers in a different ballpark?
Yeah, in Citizens Bank Park.
Oh gosh,
a lot of them would have been home runs. Anyways, so and then 3 days later, November 9th, the Braves acquired Colby Allard for Jake Odorizzi and some cash. So we all know what that deal was about. It was about saving a little bit of money, if anything.
Well, we got rid of Jake Odorizzi, who
he
didn't have a spot on this team. They would have just
might
as well get potentially something of value for him than just DFA him or stash him in the minors.
And I don't blame him at all for exercising that option either.
Yeah.
Because there's a free $12 million for him. Like, you're not going to get more than that in free agency. Like, I thought maybe he would get like a 2-year deal. But then the more I looked at it, I was like, he really didn't have a spectacular year.
Right.
And it looked even worse down the stretch. So, like, I don't think many teams would have been like, yeah, I'll give that guy $12 million. Like,
yeah.
You got to do you, man. And that's what he did. So I don't blame him. I appreciate that Alex was able to move him. And Colby Allard is Colby Allard could eat some innings. I'll say that. I don't want to be rude to Colby Allard. I like Colby Allard, but he hasn't had
He
a
hasn't been
great
much.
go. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, November 11th, the Braves picked up Nick Anderson on a split deal. In MLB, he'll make $875,000, or if he's in the minors, he'll make $185,000.
Yeah.
A lot of
I
potential there.
really, I
Yeah.
like that move a lot.
I mean,
he didn't have a great year. In 2021 is the last time he pitched because he was injured.
Yep.
But in 2020 he had a .55 earned run average and a .213 expected ERA, 1.35 FIP, and a .304 expected FIP.
In 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which obviously was a shortened season, but that's.
Yeah, but he was the best reliever in baseball in 2020. I mean, he was electric.
Just looking at some of these numbers, I'm like, oh my gosh.
That three-headed monster that Tampa Bay had at the back of that bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, think about the Rays in
Nick Anderson,
the pitching staff of the Rays in 2020.
Pete Fairbanks, so and what's his name? Diego Castillo. Yeah, Diego Castillo. He plays for the Mariners now, but that bullpen was nasty.
So he's a guy that, if he gets healthy, figures some stuff out, like can be a weapon. And just knowing that he's in AAA until we're like, hey, let's bring this, like it just, that sort of option is great to have. Like a guy like that
and either
may
he
or may
shows
not
it,
be in the bullpen that's how you know the bullpen is good.
And either he shows that he has come back to, life, or he doesn't.
Or he stays down there. Yeah, right. Yeah. I think you can't
either
go wrong
way,
with a deal like that. Yeah.
Either way, you're paying him less than $1 million total. So you can't complain about that deal. Then, of course, November 12th, the very next day, we re-signed Jesse Chavez to a minor league deal. He'll make $1.2 million in the majors if he comes up to the majors. Or if
he'll find
if he makes
way.
the team. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on the team.
At some point, yeah.
They're going to want him.
He's like you said, like Colby Aller, like an innings eater type. Like he's the kind of long man it's good to have.
And the team loves Jesse Chavez so much. They are.
And he finds a way to be successful on the Braves. I don't know what it is about this team.
I don't understand it. It's weird. I mean, he went to the Angels and got absolutely lit up, and then gets DFA'd, and Alex was like, "Yeah, I'll take that." What it is about the team? And look, I don't care. I understand a lot of Mets fans make fun of us for saying chemistry and culture and stuff like that. There's something there. Yeah. There is. If you deny it, you're lying to yourself.
It's not scientific. You can't, calculate it, but you can't.
People like being around people they like. Yeah. Right. You can't argue with that. Like, I'm sure when you go to work, there's like people you want to hang out with.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to go to work with people that you like being around?
Right. I know that whenever
I want to succeed.
If I go to work and I'm with people I don't like, my days are miserable.
Right. Exactly.
And then these guys also got to spend the time that they're on the road. This is their family. So culture is important, whether you want to admit it or not. I know Alex tries to say like, "Oh, I don't believe in the word culture," like, except you just built the best one in baseball because you know that culture is important. So, and then the last one out of these 5 deals I've got is the Braves picking up Dennis Santana from the Rangers for cash. Could be a sneaky under the radar move.
I like the move.
I mean, he's got potential.
Right. I mean, he was pitching in Texas. Obviously, the Rangers were not very good. So I know him with I'm going to pull him up real quick because I know his numbers are like when you look at the FIP. So he had a 5.22 ERA, but his FIP was 3.35. So you're like, okay, a better defense. You got Michael Harrison center field. Who's to say?
Michael Harrison center field.
But I feel like that's another solid, potentially
healthy Ronald Acuna, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the unspoken things about the Braves offseason, because everybody looks at left field and they're like, "Oh, there's a hole there." Yeah, but if you look at the guys that Alex picked up, Eli White, Sam Hilliard, Jordan Luplow, all fantastic defensive players.
Right. Yep.
The fourth guy that he picked up in Kevin Pillar, who's on a minor league deal.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that in a little while. Also, an excellent defender. Now, he's lost a step in his later ages. He's not the guy he was in Toronto 6 years ago or whatever, but that's okay. We don't need him to be that.
Yeah. I'm fine with a 9-hole hitter just being a really, really good defender. I feel like people underrate defense. You know, like they just the guy has to be able to hit. It's like, no, like you think about the runs that get saved with a good defender. Like maybe you're not hitting the homers or you know, the bat isn't very good, but it's important to have a good defense, you know.
None of us complained about Dansby Swanson.
Right. He was always providing value on defense. That
not
counts.
Hitting. Yeah.
Just because you like guys to be able to hit.
Actually, let me
Defense
rephrase
counts.
that. A lot of people complained about Dansby Swanson not hitting. And
I feel like people forget that when everyone's like, I can't believe that we let him go. It's like, what about those month-long stretches where the dude was striking out like 50% of the time? You forget about that when
it's like
but he's the leader and things like that.
Yeah,
he's
and
a
all the
stellar
Mets
defensive
fans
player,
and
but
Phillies fans and stuff, and they're like, you guys just lost one of your best players. And it's like, Braves fans, like, even though we know, sure, he had the highest F4 on the team last year.
Mm-hmm.
We all know Dansby Swanson is like maybe our fourth best player.
Dansby's not a 6 WAR player every year.
No. And this was before we picked up Sean Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
So Sean Murphy, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna, Michael Harris. All those guys have a right to say that they are better than Dansby Swanson. Now, the track record isn't there so much with Michael Harris as it is with Ronald Acuna and Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, whatever. But remember, Dansby Swanson had, even with having a ridiculous year in 2022 and putting up a 6 WAR season, his average F4 for a season is like 2.3.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
And it's like when you're looking at it as it was a walk year for him, you know, it's always like, okay, you know, is this what Dansby is now, or was just like an extra?
You know what? That's fine.
Because
we'll
you
find
see
out.
that a lot with guys.
He's going to play in Chicago, and Cubs fans are all stoked about him right now. We'll see how they feel after it's June 1st, and he's struck out 112 times already. I don't know. I mean, that's just Dansby.
It'll be interesting to see the things that they start saying about him if he struggles at all.
Right. Yeah, and they'll come. They will. Those struggles will come. So, so after those deals, the Braves were quiet for a little while. Winter meetings came, and like I think we were all stoked about the winter meetings. And the day before the winter meetings started, like Mark Feinsand drops that tweet that, Sean Murphy's about to be traded, and it looks like he's going to Atlanta. And everybody was like, what? Why? It doesn't make any sense. And then I was like, yeah, we should trade Contreras and bring in Murphy. And everybody was like, you're a fucking idiot. And I was like, yeah, I know. But
I remember you sent me a text that was just something like Murphy to the break or something like about it. And I have notifications on for like some of the guys like passing and some of them. But I guess I must have not had him on for Feinsand at the point because I was like, wait, what? What did I miss? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, what I'm talking about was when DOB shut it down. And he's like, no, that's not happening.
Oh, okay.
I talked to Alex Anthopoulos. He said
he's not trading any of the catchers.
Like, it's like, a week later, he traded 2 of his catchers. So, anyways, but that's not even the deal that I'm about to talk about. It was quiet for winter meetings. Braves didn't do much. Alex came out and said, we're close on some deals. We're working out. And then like 2 hours later, Joe Jimenez gets traded to the
And
Braves.
I remember tweeting, I was like, he's pulling something out of his ass soon. Like I just knew, I felt it. And literally that night it was the Jimenez move. I was like, I told you.
And this was
you can always tell.
This was a move that for a lot of people was like, oh, why did we do that? Because myself, as well as a lot of other fans, were really starting to like Justin Henry Malloy. Kid can hit. He's got light tower power. He gets on base at an insanely good clip. But his position was third base. They were trying to use him in left field. I guess that wasn't going the way that they were hoping it would have. So the Braves flipped him and turned him into an elite reliever that they wanted at the deadline, apparently, and didn't get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, did you
I'll admit,
pull
like,
up
at
stuff
first,
on him?
yes, I did. But like when I first saw it, I'm like, Justin Henry Malloy for a reliever. Like that's always because relievers are volatile. They're like, you just never know what you're going to get from a reliever. They may have a stellar year and then the next year they suck. So I'm like,
Right.
oh, that's like our top, one of our top prospects for a reliever. So I wasn't sure. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, Alex doesn't just make moves without. Sorry, my cats are being annoying.
It's okay.
Without thinking about them 2, 3, 4, 5 times over. They're not just going to trade this if they don't really, really like Jimenez. If they don't, maybe they think there's a chance they can extend him. Like obviously there is a reason. So I'm like, I've learned not to really doubt. You might question them, but I really have learned not to doubt the moves that they make because obviously there's a reason for all of them. So, But yeah, I pulled up his.
That. I agree.
So like, yeah, in 2020, 2021, he really wasn't that good. But last year, he had a 3.49 ERA. But
I think he had a 2.0 FIP, right?
Yeah, 2.0 FIP. Yeah, so everything. So the ERA was above 3, but everything else, the expected stuff, the FIP was all below 3.
Right, all below 3. Can you look at one thing for me? His walk percentage, or I guess walk per 9. We'll look at it that way.
Yeah, so he had a.
Tell me his 2021 walk per 9 first.
2021, it was 6.95 walks per 9. And then in 2022, it went down to 2.06.
So his walks per 9 dropped almost like 5 quarter. Walks per 9 innings.
Yeah, like almost by a quarter, or like 3 quarters. I can't do math. Yeah, but a lot. Yeah. So strikeout wise, it was about the same. It's just like he stopped walking guys.
Right.
Like if you go.
So for anyone who is saying Joe Jimenez may not be good this year, his career ERA is like 5 something. Yeah, but we see it all the time with relievers. Relievers are volatile, right? So a reliever could, out of nowhere, like Joe Jimenez, have the best season of his career. And maybe sometimes it's a little bit hard to point to why, because most cases it's just a new pitch, or it's, he's, found a way to increase his spin rate. We don't know how he's doing that. Whatever. But in this case, it was just as simple as he stopped walking everybody. And that's huge for relievers.
He was on, last year. Oh my gosh, my cats. In the 83rd percentile for walk percentage, 95th percentile for K percentage last year.
And look at his
there's a lot of red when you go onto his
but look at his 2021 walk percentage, his percentile.
1.
It's like 1. Yeah.
And he was 73 with the K, so he was striking guys out. It was just the walks.
Yep.
On top of it. Yeah, even in 2021, everything else is pretty good. He just walked guys a lot. And then he obviously figured something out, started throwing more strikes last year. It was the same team. It's not like he went to a different team. He was still on the Tigers.
He didn't change anything. The only thing he changed is he stopped walking 7 guys per 9 innings.
Yeah.
That'll do something for your season. And what are the 3 things that affect FIP, right? It's strikeouts, walks, and home runs.
Yeah.
Those are the FIP. That's the only thing it takes into account: strikeouts, walks, and home runs. Because those are the only 3 things that a pitcher can be the only person that they influence. Yeah. It's like, it's only a pitcher's fault if he walks a guy. It's only a pitcher's fault if he strikes out a guy. It's only a pitcher's fault if he gives up a home run. And his FIP dropped drastically in 2022 because he wasn't walking everybody.
It was 5.22 in 2021.
And it dropped
And
to
2.
2.0.
It was a 2. Yeah. So,
I mean,
you hope that's real, and
you do.
and
I personally believe that it is because, like you said, there's a lot.
And obviously,
of
so do
red
the Braves,
on
or
that
they wouldn't have
swan
sent a
page.
top prospect for him.
Right.
And
let's be honest, Justin Henry Malloy was a top prospect in the Atlanta Braves system. He wouldn't be a top prospect in probably 25 other systems. Our farm is very bad right now. So it's okay. It's okay because we've utilized it to create what we have. And that's the whole point of having a farm system. So and then 5 days later, Sean Murphy did get traded to the Atlanta Braves. The Braves gave up a good bit.
A lot.
Yeah, the A's received Kyle Muller, Freddie Tarnok, Roy Salinas, and Manny Pena. And the Brewers made out like fucking thieves in this deal. It is
I blame
crazy.
the A's for that, for being stupid. They should have just taken Contreras and then done a separate trade.
Yeah.
Like they should have done. I feel like they did it poorly. We gave up like
taking
the
Contreras
right amount
and made him their DH.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true. That too.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But and then the Brewers received William Contreras, Justin Yeager, and another kid from the A's. But they received William Contreras and Justin Yeager from us. Yeah. So Braves end up giving up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. And they got Sean Murphy back, which a lot of people said things like, oh, how did we give up that many players and only get one player back? Well, because Sean Murphy's an all-star Gold Glove caliber first baseman who is probably going to win a Silver Slugger at some point as well.
First baseman.
Excuse me. Catcher. Why did I say first baseman? Sorry. And then...
That's the other guy we got from the A's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I the three-way trade thing is always confusing to me because it's like, what's the value of this and this?
And this one was
when I looked it up on the trade values as a direct, like, we gave up these players and we got Sean Murphy. I was like, yeah, this is totally balanced and equal.
Yeah, and actually,
I feel like a lot of
teams.
fans were like, oh my god, the Brewers gave us nothing for Contreras. It's like, no, think of it like we gave everyone to the A's and then the A's traded Contreras to the Brewers. Like that, it's a totally,
that's the way you have to.
We gave up enough.
We gave up all that. Yeah, the package that we gave up for Sean Murphy was actually pretty accurate for what he's worth. Honestly, maybe not enough. A lot of A's fans are very unhappy with the package they got for Sean Murphy.
Okay.
Yes, because I mean, you got to look at it like the Braves sent a lot of players because, again, just as we just talked about with Justin Henry Malloy, our farm system is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So these top
we don't have
guys,
some big guy we can send.
Right.
Yeah.
Kyle Muller was our number one prospect. And can you honestly say that you're upset that Kyle Muller is no longer in our system? Does that really bother you? No. But people see 6 players for 1 player.
Mm-hmm.
And that
people who don't understand how trades work, that there are values to players. The only player I was sad to see go was Contreras, but he was a DH.
Sad. Yeah, he was a DH.
Really, a top 5 catcher.
As a catcher
for him, like you have to give talent to get talent.
Yeah, and
it's hard sometimes to let people go.
That's where a lot of fans get mixed up. They see we gave up all of this talent for a guy that I don't know that well.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sean Murphy plays for the Oakland A's. Nobody's watching Oakland A's games for the most part. Now, I did watch a lot of Astros games and a lot of Mariners games last year because those were 2 very good teams. Mm-hmm. And J-Rod was electric. And, the Mariners were just fun. Everybody was rooting for the Mariners. So after the Braves would go off every night, I'd turn the Mariners on.
The late night West Coast games.
Right? That's what I would do every night. I'd see what the Mariners were doing. And a lot of times they were playing the A's, and Sean Murphy was like the only A who was any good.
Yeah.
Now, there was the other guy, Seth Brown. Seth Brown's pretty good. So
And also
Yeah,
just a
like
lot of Braves fans are casual fans or just follow the Braves. Like
they do,
people
and
like
there's
you and I
nothing
like
wrong with
know
that.
the players we follow like across the league. We're like aware of who's good and this and that. So like for people like us, we're like Sean Murphy, yes. But the people who only know the Braves, they're like, oh my gosh, you gave up Contreras for this guy.
Yeah,
So, but I thought it was a good trade. I'm fine with it. I moved on pretty quickly from Contreras. I
yeah.
wish him success, but I'm so excited to see what Sean Murphy can do.
The only thing I was upset about, in this trade is that when I heard that the Brewers were involved, I thought for
Adamas.
sure Adamas was going to the Braves. And
Yeah,
what
me
I
too.
thought it was going to be is the 6 players we gave up, and then we were going to find out that the Brewers received Contreras and Grissom
Mm-hmm.
for Adamas. That's
Yeah.
what I knew that was coming. Like
Mm-hmm. I
it
thought so
just
too.
looked perfect. Like on
Mm-hmm.
paper, it was like this is right there.
Yeah,
This is a
I'm
good
surprised
trade.
they're not trading Adamas. Yeah.
They want to
Or
extend him.
haven't yet. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and he's an extension type guy. I feel like
Yeah.
feels like he's going to be a type of guy that likes a place and says, "Hey, this is where I want to be." Like I don't want to. I'm not really worried about getting a huge check because, I'm still gonna be a millionaire. So I mean, like, it is what it is. Like, there's guys like that, and then you've got guys like Juan Soto, or Carlos Correa, or whoever. Like, and I don't fault those guys at all for chasing the bag. Like,
Mm-hmm.
go get it, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Juan Soto's about to get fucking paid, and he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also something to say for guys like an Austin Riley, or in this case, a Sean Murphy, who finds a place that they're like, hey, this could be home for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a check, whatever. Oh, $73 million? Okay.
Yeah. I can be set for life. All right, I like
think
that.
I'll be all right with that. Yeah.
And Sean Murphy also of note was his connection with Kyle Wright.
Mm-hmm.
That they would throw together,
Which a lot of people
play
don't
together
know about.
in
So
Nashville.
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
pretty cool. Because just imagine like when he's throwing it, to Murphy, like what else could Kyle Wright do?
Oh yeah.
Can he be even better this year?
Can
So,
he be even better with
that
Sean
chemistry
Murphy?
is so important. So that's exciting
And
too to think about.
not only are they like really good friends,
Mm-hmm.
they work out together, and like they were working out together like basically when this deal got announced.
Yeah.
So of course, I'm sure that Alex, we all know how he is. He wants to make sure that guys are going to fit in the clubhouse. I'm sure that Alex talked a lot to Kyle Wright about this. I'm sure he talked to Matt Olson about this a lot. And
yeah, I know Matt Olson did say
like
that he had reached out to him about it just to tell him,
so
make sure he was a good player, a good guy.
It really makes a lot of sense why they liked Sean Murphy so much. It was weird for fans because it was a position that we already looked at.
That was a place we didn't.
We're great here. Why do we need to do anything here? In fact, we had excess depth in that position, but we turned that excess depth into one of the best catchers in baseball.
Right.
And
with
definitely
the new rules and the pitch clock and the bases and all of that, like it's having a better defensive catcher is important.
Right. And it's definitely
and that wasn't Contreras. Contreras was not the answer for that stuff.
Contreras, and let's be honest, Travis d'Arnaud is not a great defensive catcher either. He's a good framing catcher. Yeah. He calls a great game. He's a decent blocker. Yeah. He's a terrible throwing catcher.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason every time he threw somebody out last year, you would tweet, "Holy shit, he did it again!" Like,
yeah, there was like a period of time he was like throwing a bunch of guys out, and
I mean, he threw out like 5 in a week. It felt like, which it was really only like 2. But for us, it was like, dude, right. It's April and you've reached your total for the season. What are you doing, man? Like, slow down a little bit. But yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think Sean Murphy's going to be a great addition. He already seems to be fitting in well with the guys.
Yeah, he went to the the events that have been the Braves Fest and all. He was there, so he's obviously like developing a rapport with the guys and stuff. So
which is great. That's what the Braves do. I'm excited about it. So if you're not excited about it, get excited about it because you've got a top 3 catcher on your team now. So and a top 5 catcher right behind him. So that's pretty cool. But
Very exciting.
so and then on the 19th of December, the Braves picked up Jordan Luplow.
Mm-hmm.
I hated this deal.
You did hate that deal.
I hated this fucking deal so much. I've come around to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just mad because I was like, is this really what we're getting? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're really getting Jordan Luplow and Eddie Rosario in left field. And that frustrated me a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
the more I looked into it, the projections have him about a 106 weighted runs created plus. And that's in like, I want to say it's like 59 games or something like that. So, like, he plays elite defense. He's got a cannon of an arm. And we're only paying him $1.4 million.
Right.
So it wasn't, I'll say that it wasn't that I didn't like Jordan Luplow, because I've always liked Jordan Luplow. I didn't like that as like
an everyday type player.
Yeah,
right.
I was like, what are we doing? Like, that's what made me mad. But as the winter has progressed even more, and we've seen another deal that it looks like. Did I forget? I did. I forgot to write it down. But we've already talked about it. Kevin Pillar.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Braves have added 4 outfielders this offseason. All 4 of them they have offensive upside. Well, maybe not Eli White, but who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
Maybe he has a breakout. I don't know. But Hilliard, Luplow, and Pillar, they all have offensive upside for sure. I don't think Pillar is ever going to be any higher than a potential league average. He's probably going to be below that with the bat. But all those guys are defensive guys. They're all great defenders. And we've added 4 outfielders, so we basically have 6 left field options. One of those 6 guys is going to be okay.
Yeah, somebody's going to find success. And then if, we only need them to do it for a couple of months, and then we have the trade deadline. So if none of them are working.
Yeah, and one of them is
they'll do something at the deadline. Yeah,
but
the defense is going to be there. It's going to be, do they produce enough?
I'm talking about Marcell Ozuna.
I swear, I don't even want him to touch with his feet.
Yeah, I don't want to see him out in left field at all.
He needs to just stick to DH.
We have so many good.
There's way too many defensive.
Fielders.
Yes.
There's no reason for Marcell Ozuna.
Exactly. I'm with you on that.
I mean, look, if the bat can bounce back, which apparently the Braves believe it can, according to Justin Toscano. Okay, whatever. Just keep your head low, play some baseball, get the fuck out of our town as soon as you can, please. But outside of that, what else we're gonna do? There's nothing else we can do about it. As fans, we are the ones, we fight the battles more than the front office does, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just like, at this point, I'm exhausted with it. I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't like the guy.
He's on this team. It's going to be what it's going to be. Yeah.
It is what it is. We're not signing Trevor Bauer because, we don't just pick those guys up because we're like, oh, let's collect them all. It's not. This isn't Pokemon. You know what I'm saying?
How many guys with legal issues can we add to the roster?
I mean, we passed on a few of them this offseason. So somebody told me, oh, Aroldis Chapman is definitely going to sign with the Braves. And I was like, why in the fuck would you
First of all, why? We don't
think that would happen. Like, we don't need him.
Yeah.
We have 3 lefties who are all way better than him.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no.
It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then that person said, it's just like, well, you already got Ozuna. I was like,
so that means we should just continue to sign guys like that.
So now we go pick up the guy who shot a gun into the wall. And then we're gonna go get the guy who allegedly raped a couple women. Like,
collect.
No, I don't think we're gonna do all that. So yeah. Anyways, and then Braves signed Adrianza again, brought him back a minor league
I
deal.
forgot about that.
Yeah,
If I
it's
even knew that, I
quiet
don't know.
little under the radar deal.
Mm-hmm.
Happened to the same day that they picked up Hoy Park
Ah,
from the
yes,
Red
the
Sox,
legend.
who they DFA'd and ended up keeping. And they picked up Lewin Diaz and
That's
then
the other one, Leon Diaz. Yeah.
DFA'd him, and he went back to the Orioles,
Mm-hmm.
which was weird because they traded him to us, and the
Yeah.
guy got
Yeah.
DFA'd like
Those
6
moves are so
times.
funny when you're like here to here
It's
to here,
like
DFA trade this and that.
that
Okay.
poor guy had a hell of an offseason. But it looks like he's
Mm-hmm.
going to stick with the Orioles because he didn't
Mm-hmm.
get picked up after that. I think teams like felt sorry for him and they were like let's make a pact to not claim this guy. Like let him just find a team and he can just be happy there. Okay. And the Orioles are going to be good. So,
Yeah, that'll be a fun team to watch.
and then another one that you may have forgotten about, Jackson Stevens. Braves re-signed
Jackson Stevens. Yep, we had gotten rid of him.
So
Everyone was like, "I can't believe they get rid of Jackson Stevens." Which, like,
I
why are
was
you upset about
shocked
that?
that we let
But I
him
was
go.
like, "Why is that?" They're like, "Oh, they're tearing apart the clubhouse." Like, there were little people who like really upset about that, and I'm like,
I mean, I
"It's
wasn't
Jackson
worried about
Stevens. It's
that.
not like his performance was so." But there were people who
No,
were really upset about that move. I'm like, "Why?"
the
And
only
then
reason
we
I
brought him
was
back
like,
anyway. So
the only reason I was surprised by it was because it was like, I mean, he did a good job eating innings.
right, he's another
That
one
was
where he's the
that
innings
was the only
eater.
thing I could think. I was like, okay, so we just lost
Yeah,
an innings eater.
right.
Like, it would have been nice to have that guy around. And look, he's back. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sweet. And then this is the other big. I guess this is the last big move that we kind of made, and that was picking up Lucas Litke.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Stoked
shortstop
about
Caleb
that.
Durbin, who you never heard of, and
Mm-hmm.
right-handed pitcher
Always.
Indigo Diaz, who you probably have heard of.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Indigo Diaz was pretty decent relief prospect a couple years ago. And 2022 wasn't a good year for him. So, maybe the Yankees ended up getting a guy that they can turn into something there. I think that he definitely has the upside for it. But the Braves just added
I love this
another.
move.
I do too.
I think there were Yankees fans who were kind of wondering, I know some Yankees fans, they're like, this is a good, like, middle Colin McHugh type. That's basically what we've got here. We've got now
in a
lefty
lefty.
and righty
We
Colin
got
McHugh.
a left-handed Colin McHugh. That's what we got.
Yeah, and so I'm really, he's another one. So, he had a 2.67 ERA last year, 3.03 FIP. I'll take that.
Yeah, and the
And then
Yankees DFA'd this guy.
Right, I was surprised. And his, 63rd percentile for walk percentage, 59 for K. His fastball, he doesn't throw fast. That's really the one like notable on his Savant page is he's in the 3rd percentile for velocity.
Well, that's funny because it's the exact same way for Colin McHugh.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure Colin McHugh is listed. Yeah, similar pitchers, 2021 Colin McHugh.
Yeah, there you go. So
yeah, he doesn't get hard hit or anything like that.
I was like, when this
move a lot.
When this tweet dropped,
Mm-hmm.
The press release dropped, I was like, wait, we got who?
Yeah.
I was like, how
because I remembered seeing that the Yankees had designated him. I remember thinking like,
I did too.
Really?
And I thought the same thing. I was like, man, that's wild.
I'm like, that
I
might be
remember thinking when that happened, somebody's going to get a good pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And it was us.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, sweet. We got a great pitcher. Like, and I know it's not a big name that people hear all the time. And that's why it's so like, whatever. Maybe people like look at it and they're like, it is what it is. Like, but he's a really good pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, he was good in 2021 and 2022. It's not like he just had a really. It was a surprising move. I think they just didn't have a spot for him. They just had to, clear.
And a lot of people have never heard of him because he has a very similar story. No, well, I wouldn't say similar story, but like kind of the same type of like career path as like a Tyler Matzik, where like he had a couple years of success and then he was out of baseball for like a number of years. Yeah. And then the Yankees brought him back in 2021 and 2021, 2022, he was great. Yeah. So
he really had good.
It's just a great pickup.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm stoked about our bullpen. I really, really am.
The bullpen's going to be nasty. Yeah. We talked about it before we came on. Kirby Yates, like
Yep.
super under
Just
the
like
radar.
when you're
like,
forgetting about a guy like Kirby Yates, like you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. We have a probably fully healthy after a full regular offseason Kirby Yates. That could be pretty good.
could be
Like,
pretty nice. Yeah.
so
Because I
like
mean,
yeah.
that two-seamer starts biting again, and that splitter comes back a little bit, dude, like you
There's a
could be
lot of
looking at a
options.
back
Like
end of the
if
bullpen of Iglesias,
we're gonna be shortening
Minter,
games. They're gonna be shortening games.
Jimenez, Yates, potentially Nick Anderson,
Lee,
Litke, Dylan
Dylan
Lee,
Lee.
Colin McHugh. Like
Yeah.
it just
Right.
keeps going, dude. Jesse Chavez.
Potentially Anderson. Yeah, there's so many. I think our when you're looking at the projections, our relievers are projected for 6 WAR, which is really, really, really
Really
good
good.
for
Really
a
good.
bullpen.
We are
Yeah.
projected to have the best bullpen in baseball.
Yeah.
The highest F4 for a bullpen in baseball.
Mhm.
And
anything can happen. Like we said, relievers are volatile. Like it doesn't mean that they're all going to be really, really great, but the potential is so there to have a good
Right.
bullpen.
right.
So hopefully most of those guys are successful. And
It's insane. So Eli White, we talked about that a little bit. Defense first guy. He's not really gonna he's probably gonna profile as more of like a Heredia type guy, is the way I look at it. Like he's gonna be a defensive replacement if he makes it to the major leagues at all next year.
Mhm.
We've got a ton of other guys that I think are probably going to get a shot before he does. Hilliard has no options.
Mm.
So Hilliard has no options. Pilar has no options. Who else? Luplo does have an option.
Okay.
So it's possible
Probably Pilar,
that
Hilliard.
yeah. Now Pilar is on a minor league deal. So even though
Mhm.
he doesn't have an
That's right.
option, we can put him at AAA for a while if we need to.
Yeah.
So I think Hilliard is likely to make the team out of spring training. That seems most likely. It's going to be Luplo and Hilliard, and then Rosario, and of course Ozuna.
Yeah,
But
I mean at this
gives
point, Rosario's that number one. It's his to lose, sort of. Even if they do a platoon, I
Yeah.
mean, he's I think going to be the lefty. He's going to be the
for
number
sure,
one
and
guy.
I expect Rosario to have a good season.
Me too.
Now
He's
I don't
another one. With
expect
the
it
eyes,
to be
you
like
never
a
know.
3 or 4 WAR season,
Right.
but I mean I expect him to be like 1.5 WAR,
Yeah.
something like that. Like
Mhm.
something positive, something
Right.
that's not a complete black hole like
Mhm.
it was last year. So
Yeah.
I
agree.
On the 27th of December, the Braves extended Sean Murphy for 6 years, $73 million with a $15 million club option for 2029. Could potentially become 7 years and $88 million. Again, right back to what we were saying, like Sean Murphy is a really, really, really good catcher. The Braves would not give him a 6-year deal if they didn't believe that.
Yeah.
And if you compare him to like a JT Realmuto, he's clearly a step down from JT Realmuto.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I'd call them JT Realmuto light. He's sort of like not that good, but he's a similar, good on both sides. There's a good defensive and offensive.
Two catchers who are on that like that elite top tier, and that's Rutschman and JT Realmuto. And then like right below that, there's like a little step down, and then that's Sean Murphy. And then you got like right behind that, you've got like Will Smith, guys like that. And yes, Sean Murphy is a little bit better than Will Smith. He's a better combination.
Yeah. I think defensively he's better than Will Smith.
He is.
Will Smith's sort of a bat for
their weighted runs created plus were actually fairly close last year. I think Will Smith was 129 weighted runs created plus, and Murphy was 122. So it was pretty close.
Yeah.
With the bat, and you look at the money that JT Realmuto got, 5 years, $115 million. Look, and then take a step back and look at the 6 for 73 that we're giving to Murphy. It's
a pretty good deal for most players.
It's a pretty good deal for a catcher. It is team friendly to an extent. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not, but it's also not as team friendly as the other deals.
Mhm.
It's not as team friendly
Ozzy.
as Ozzy. Now, depending on who you ask, Ozzy Albies might be the most overrated player in baseball. To which I say, okay, well, $5 million, $7 million a year is pretty good for the most overrated player in baseball, I guess.
Basically.
But I don't agree with that. I think that Ozzy is a very good player, and I think that Braves fans kind of value him exactly where he's at. He's a solid.
I agree. I don't think he's
whatever,
overrated or underrated. I think he's just
I
Ozzy. I
mean,
think he's a solid player. He's
none
a
of
great
us
guy.
call him a superstar.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't.
we know
Yeah, I
he's
feel like
not.
people
He's a
think
good
Braves fans are like, oh my God, he's the best second baseman in baseball. Nobody
No,
says that.
we say that Ronald Acuna is the most talented player in baseball because it's true.
Yeah.
Like, as far as pure talent goes, there's nobody who matches the
Mhm.
package that Ronald Acuna has. If he can be healthy, he can be the
That
best player in
revenge
baseball.
tour is about to be.
Oh my God.
He's ready.
With all this crap going on in Venezuela too, it's just gonna piss him off even more.
I had a dream that he hit for the cycle.
Oh,
on the first day of the year, like the
that
game
wouldn't
one.
be. I mean, that wouldn't be very like surprising.
No.
Ronald. I mean,
Not at all.
a homer and a triple, not hard for him.
Right.
A double and a single, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I could see him
I'm
do
so
all
excited.
that. Yeah.
And that's and those that having Ronald Acuna Jr. back after a regular off season and having Ozzy
it's gonna be
Albies
huge.
back, like those are things that count. That's you know what I mean. That's people forget that stuff, and then it's like, oh yeah, you're like justifying not making moves by saying, well, we get a fully healthy, and it's like, no, it's true.
No, we're
Michael
not
Harris for the
justifying
whole
it.
year,
Those things are
Strider
real.
in the rotation for the whole year. Those things are going to matter. So that's important to look at. Yeah, we didn't make any flashy big moves besides
We
the
didn't
Sean
need
Murphy
to.
move, but like we have a really good team, and people need to understand for off seasons to come for the next several years, we're not going to be making big moves because we really aren't going to have that many big moves to make.
Right. Now, pitching is an area where we are going to have a chance to make some big moves, and that's why I do now think that Max Fried is a real possibility to stay.
Mhm. I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I hope so. I
Me
really,
too.
really hope so. But it's up to him too. It's not just up to the front office.
It kind of plays into the next thing I'm going to say. Braves let Dansby walk. Reportedly offered him 6 for $100.
Mm-hmm. And they reportedly countered with 6/140, and then they declined that, which I wonder now, seeing what guys were signing for, if they're like, shit, we should have taken the 6/140.
Yeah, maybe.
Or they just didn't want him. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm serious. That's what I think happened. I think that the Braves made a decision when the offseason started, and they were like, look, like, Dansby's going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to get overpaid, like, following a career year. And I think Alex and his team were like, I don't think we're going to be able to compete.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we should, because I think he's going to get more money than he's worth.
Yeah, and especially when it's the last option, when Xander Bogaerts has signed and Trey Turner has signed, and we thought Carlos Correa had signed. It's like now that the other teams that need a shortstop are all like, well, we only have one guy. Like, we need to make sure we get this guy, and then you're definitely going to overpay him.
Man, that Correa saga was wild. I mean, literally for like 3 weeks, we just woke up every day and were like, what the fuck's going to happen today? Like,
I know people were joking. It was like the Braves' biggest offseason move was that the Mets didn't get Correa, because that was the move that took them sort of over the top in terms of the project. Like, that was when they're like, now they're going to be better than the Braves. And
I'm perfectly fine admitting that. Yeah, the Mets
me
not
too.
getting Carlos Correa is huge for
Anthopoulos was perfectly fine admitting that as well.
Alex said it. Like, why is that a problem?
It's okay to be happy that a rival team
didn't
get a really, really good player. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that.
I agree. I'm not either. It's like,
I was legitimately like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? When
I woke up and I had like 100 notifications, and I was like, what the fuck happened? And it was like Mets fans being like, hey, Beaneater, you better wake up. And I was like, what's going on? I saw it.
See, what I woke up to was, because my two best friends are Mets fans and we have a group chat.
Yeah.
So I woke up to texts about that. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I'm like, let me go on Twitter. I can't believe this is happening. So I'm just, yes,
Yeah.
I'm very glad that fell through. And also
Especially
just,
because I was
LOL
like
Mets.
so big on Correa. I was like, this is the guy.
The one
He's
guy
the
that I
best
wanted.
guy. He's the one that I want. The other guys I don't want. Like I know that's crazy for people that I say I didn't want Turner, but I just see so much.
Would I have taken Trey Turner? Yes, of course I would have.
I wouldn't have
But
complained.
of the guys, like Carlos Correa was the one that I was like,
well,
bring me him.
I actually did
really
say
hope.
I don't want Trey Turner. I did say that. And the reason
Really?
I said that is just because I think a lot of his game is predicated on speed.
No, you're right. And what did he get, like 11 years or 13 years or something wild?
Years.
Which is just, for a guy who's almost 30, is way, way too many years.
That's insane.
But that was a fit. I knew he was going to go to Philly, so that is what it is. He's still.
I mean, I knew from the second the fucking offseason started, it was like he's going to be a Philly. And
he was one of like the earlier, like when he signed, it was like, oh, he signed pretty like earlier than I would have expected him.
Yeah,
to sign. I guess that was a fit.
It was
and they
crazy how fast all four of the shortstops signed this offseason. I know the Correa thing felt like it took forever, but it was still like mid-January. I mean, Machado signed in like what?
Right. Machado and Harper were both later.
Yeah. Like spring training had already started when those guys signed. So things have definitely changed the last few years. So we talked about Contreras. We talked about Grissom. Talked about left field. We can kind of touch on fifth starter for a second. What do you think is going to happen there? I think we all know what our hope is.
It's probably Soroka's job to lose.
Yeah, I think
if
we
Soroka
all hope.
Looks good, it'll be his. Elder obviously is an option. Anderson isn't. I mean, there are options for sure. So, I hope it's Soroka.
I do too. I want Mike to make it back so bad. It's like,
I think he'll probably be the fifth. I mean, assuming he looks good and feels good in spring training, I think he'll probably be the fifth starter at the beginning of the season. But that's no matter the team, no matter the rotation, there's always all those guys, Anderson, Elder, all of them are going to be making starts.
I like Elder a lot. I like Elder a lot. I want to see Anderson do good. I also think that the Braves should sell high on Anderson.
Yeah, I thought that
I was kind of hoping that he would have got moved this offseason.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet. But I don't know. Mike Soroka. From all reports, he feels like he is back to being himself. And if that's true, if he really is that guy, man.
I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, dude. If you're fifth
not many guys
starter,
I'm rooting for more than Mike Soroka.
No, there's no guy I'm rooting for more than Mike Soroka. Like, it's going to be very emotional when Soroka takes the mound for the first, even if it's just a relief role. Like, no matter how he ends up back on a major league mound, there's going to be some tears for, I think, most Braves fans. He's such a good dude, man. Just the biggest news of the offseason is certainly that Chip Carey is gone.
Chip Carey has moved on to St. Louis.
It's crazy.
And that was another thing that happened very fast. It was like an article,
in like an hour.
Yeah, it was like
we heard that it was possible, and it was like, oh yeah, he took the job. He's gone.
Was like, sources tell me. Oh, okay.
Well, thank
and like,
God,
let's be honest,
he's
the
right
guy who's been calling those every single game for whatever 20 years. Yeah. He's the voice of the Braves, and it is going to be weird not to have him on those big calls. I will admit that. Does he bother the shit out of me sometimes? Yes. But he like when he nails a call, he nails a call.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a part of me that's gonna miss that. I'm not gonna lie about that.
The Hayward,
but I'm also excited to see like who they hire and what's the new voice of the Braves.
Yes, I'm very excited too. Now the issues with Bally Sports is getting interesting. I'll have to see where that goes. Supposedly there's a possibility they might just refuse to pay teams. Which is
that's a lot of teams that are under that.
Shocking. Umbrella. They owe the Braves $100 million this year, And if they say, hey, we're just not going to give you that money, the Braves should sue the fucking shit out of them for the rights to their broadcasts.
Yeah.
That's what they should
that'll
do.
be interesting to keep up with.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, Chip, yeah, he, like you said, he's the voice. The way I put it was he's the voice of our summer. Like every year, he's the voice of our summer. And nobody calls the bigger moments better than Chip Carey. If there's one thing that Chip Carey deserves credit in, it is that. Like, you think about Chipper Jones's walk-off homers in 2012. You think about that Ozzie call that you were talking about
My favorite one.
against the Reds off of Lucas Sims. Like, phenomenal call. Yeah. And it just, I'm going to miss those moments.
Right, you associate his voice with those calls.
But but he became so cynical and so just
he didn't want to, like, the modern game was
it really bothered him, and that's
he
fine.
Didn't want to accept the modern game.
The problem is you are a broadcaster for the game of baseball, and you make fans not like the game of baseball. Like, you're trying to tell fans everything that is wrong with baseball. It's your job to make it
in
exciting.
These days of velocity and strikeouts.
Oh my god!
It's like, oh my god, Chip, move on.
Yeah, like you say that 100 times a game. Yeah. And just, I mean, how many times did we have to hear him tell us that Brandon Nimmo didn't even play high school baseball? Like, yeah, we get it, dude. We've heard you say it.
Or the story about Jeff McNeil. Why can't we get you out?
Yeah, dude. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That's the thing that drove me nuts about you.
Well, partner. Yep.
Well, yeah. Dude, Jeff has to be ecstatic, right? Because they would get into it in the bullpen.
Yeah, you could tell there were moments when Jeff had to hold back.
Yeah,
like I remember there was something last year where Chip was talking about like beating the shift and like, oh, why don't they just try to like hit it the other way? And like Jeff was like, it's not that simple. Like, you could tell that he's like holding his tongue sometimes with some of the things.
Jeff was like, I grounded in the shift more than fucking anybody, man. What are you talking about?
If it was that simple, there wouldn't be a shift.
Yeah, there wouldn't be. So yeah, Chip is gone. Another face that has gone from the organization is Dana Brown. Signed with the Astros to be their GM after Jim Crane was their GM all offseason, and he handed out weird contracts to players like relievers who have like one good year, and he gave them like $50 million. Like, Jim Crane is a guy who doesn't give a shit. He just wants to win. And I respect that. I respect it. But it is very weird for an owner to be like, you know what? Fuck this. I can do it on my own. And then
I'll handle this.
He goes out and does it. Like, he signed Jose Abreu. Like, that's a pretty good pickup. And But yeah, so Dana Brown.
They're so good, man, the Astros.
They're so fucking good, and they're going to get even better with Dana Brown. They're going to get even better.
Yeah, that's
Dana
a loss.
Brown is a genius.
Good for him. That he deserves that.
And if you don't know much about Dana Brown, anybody who asks me about Dana Brown, there's just two things that I tell them. Dana Brown is the sole reason that the Atlanta Braves signed Michael Harris and Spencer Strider.
Yep.
That's it. Like, if you want to know how good this guy is at player development and recognizing talent, those two players right there will tell you. Considering every other team in baseball wanted Harris as a pitcher, and most teams were reluctant to sign Strider because he had just had Tommy John. And Dana Brown said, I don't care. I see this in these guys, and this leads into my next thing is Harris and Strider were 1 and 2 for Rookie of the Year in the National League
So
in
awesome, man.
2022.
It's just like, and I remember saying it last year because, like, just like knowing that it was going to be the two of them. It's like, how many
Yeah.
teams win the World Series and then have the top two contenders for Rookie of the Year the
Yeah.
next year?
And
You know
are
what I mean? Like,
considered to
the
have,
future's so bright. We've already won a championship, and the future is like so
and are
bright. It's so
considered to
exciting.
have the worst farm in baseball.
Yeah.
That's what's insane about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 3 rookies. Really, you could say 5 rookies if you wanted to, or 6, you could say, honestly, because you had guys who were not actually rookies, but were having their first like actual real season in Kyle Wright and William Contreras.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't rookies, but neither one of them had had the opportunity to play every day.
Yeah.
And as soon as
That's
they
true.
got it, they ran away with it. And then
Mm-hmm.
you got Harrison
And
Strider, and then Grissom, and
Mhm.
Dylan Lee was a rookie last year.
What, Elder?
Yeah, Bryce Elder. Like the list, just like
Yeah.
it was like so
Yeah.
long. And
It's like our farm isn't good, but look at these guys that we
but look
have
at these
on
guys
the
that are
current
coming out
roster.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Dana Brown's going to be a big loss.
Yeah.
I think Alex is going to be up to the challenge to replace him, though. I mean,
Mhm.
Alex is the one who hired him, so I'm sure he can find somebody just as good. Maybe not just as good because I don't know I've ever seen anybody as good as Dana Brown at recognizing talent. But Alex is very, very good at his job, so I'm not going to question him. The very last thing, I guess, that I wanted to touch on. Oh, I did write this down just for the Contreras and Murphy comparison.
Okay.
Travis d'Arnaud and Contreras together put up 6.3 F4 in 2022. Travis d'Arnaud and Sean Murphy would have put up 9 F4 together. It's quite a difference.
Travis had a really good year.
Travis had a really good year. He had 3.9 F4.
He's so
the
solid.
only catchers who had a higher F4 than Travis d'Arnaud were JT Realmuto, Adley Rutschman, Sean Murphy, and ironically Cal Raleigh, which he didn't actually even
kind of
qualify.
Out of nowhere.
He didn't even qualify.
Okay.
I had to minimize the amount of at-bats to find out that Cal Raleigh actually had 4.2 F4.
Wow.
Yeah. And Will Smith and Travis d'Arnaud had identical 3.9 F4. So pretty good year for Travis. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the last thing that I kind of wanted to touch on before we jump off here is Braves extended Brian Snitker through 2025.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Yeah,
he's
going to be our manager until he chooses to retire.
Until he chooses to retire.
Yeah.
He's the modern day Bobby Cox, and that's fine. Whatever.
And it's like they posted it as like the here to stay like graphic, and I'm like, that's only 2 years from now. Like, are they expecting him to retire after that?
Did that. They did that with
Matzik.
Matzik too. It's like,
I thought that was. I was like, we have so few moves that they were like here to stay. Tyler Matzik. I'm like, okay. A guy who won't even pitch this year. Okay.
Yeah, won't pitch this year, and we don't know what we're gonna get from him next year either. Oh, that reminds me. One other thing, maybe I want to touch on for the offseason. Luke Jackson signed with the Giants. He got a bag too.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how much it was, but 16, 17 million, something like that for 2 years.
It was a 2-year deal. It was
for a guy coming off of Tommy John, like
he gets to play.
He got him a nice little bag of some cash. Yeah, he gets to play with Jock.
2 years, 11.5 million with a 2025 club option.
I thought it was more. Oh, there's a club option on there too?
Yeah.
Damn, so he could potentially get 3 years out of that. And
for him. Yeah. I'm sad to see him go. I was surprised they didn't, figure something out.
Yeah, but
I don't. Maybe they didn't want to. I don't know.
Sure, it was going to be like a minor league deal or something, and then he like earns his way back. Somebody offered him 2 years and $11 million.
Yeah, I don't blame him for taking.
Go get that bag, Luke. You deserve
to play
it.
in that,
in that ballpark.
Beautiful ballpark.
Oh man, like it's gonna make him look even better too. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I think this went a little bit longer than we planned on, but that's okay. We had an hour of technical difficulties before we got there. So, yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it's been a busy offseason. Definitely busier when you put all that together than I think
Right.
most people
When you look at it
realize.
that way, you're like, we did do quite a bit. There wasn't
Yeah,
any huge things really beyond Murphy, but
but
we did
as you said,
make a lot of moves.
the big thing that I think Braves fans are going to have to remember over the next couple years is that there may be one big move every offseason,
Mm-hmm.
but we've got 7. Wait, 1, 2, potentially 7 everyday
Dudes
players
locked
locked
up.
up
Yeah.
long term. Because
Mm-hmm.
if Grissom does pan out,
Mm-hmm.
hey, guess what? We've got
We have
6 more years
we
of,
have control
of
over him. Yep.
Grissom. And you don't think that guy's going to get an extension? You don't think
Mm-hmm.
he's going to want to take an extension to play with one of his best friends in Michael Harris?
Right. If he has a good year, he's going to
I,
be
he's
the
going to be
next
a very
candidate.
solid extension candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's going to be a very exciting year. I think we'll probably be back maybe a couple weeks. Spring training starts, 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, pitchers and catchers report
The 16th,
like
right?
the 16th, somewhere around there. Yeah, and then
So
World
it's the
Baseball Classic
29th.
starts.
So we got about 17, 18 days
Mm-hmm.
until pitchers and catchers report. And then I think the World Baseball Classic starts like 2 weeks after that.
Something like
So
that. Yeah.
it's going to be fun
Yeah.
spring training leading up to the season. And yeah, like I said, we'll be back a couple weeks, go over some more things. Maybe Alex will make a couple other moves or something right before spring training. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Well,
Sounds good.
thank you guys for listening again. And
Thanks, everyone.
we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Take care, everyone. Go Braves.